We look at interest rates now. Interest rates on all parts of the world have been pushed up way too fast, way too quick, and maybe way too high. But I'm not sure way too high. What we've seen in Australia is it's gone from a 0.1 up to about 4.25. But you can see there, we're still under our historic average, which is around that 4%, 4.5% mark. So rates are still on the low side of history. And there was a lot of talk in Australia about, oh my goodness, rates are rising. And I probably was the only one saying, no, they're not rising, they're returning back to normal. And that's what's happened. Now, to me, they should not have gone up so fast. It created a fear in the market. They should have put it up, pause, and let things settle. But they chose to go rise instead. I don't think that was good policy. It ended up, costing the Reserve Bank governor his job, but we'll see what happens with the new lady in charge, whether that matters. Now, if we have a look, we did have a prediction in our March update that we would see possibly 3 unnecessary rises, and we factually saw 2. So thank goodness we didn't see the 3rd. And we've been on pause now for quite a while, since June. Now, what we do have is talk and speculation in Australia that a lot of people that were taking advantage when the rates were low to fix their rate are now coming out onto the higher rates in the market, and that this is potentially going to cause some catastrophe. Well, they've been talking about it now for over a year, and that hasn't occurred. And the reason it hasn't occurred is because all of those loans were given at cheap interest rates, but were qualified at the higher current rates that we now face. And that's because Australia has a very sensible and robust banking system that protects the borrower from undisciplined, unscrupulous banking. And therefore, every bank has to make sure that customer can absolutely afford the loan, and they have to assess your loan on a possible rate rise environment, which was at the time adding 4% of pretend interest rate to see if you could afford that. Luckily they did, because that's what it's coming out at. Now, that's not to say that this is not going to make people's life uncomfortable because they've got used to having cheap interest rates, but it just means they're going to have to find ways to find the extra cost, cut back on some lifestyle, and just get through it however. But it's back to normal, still on the cheap side by our historical standards. And you can see that makes it what I call uncomfortably comfortable. I would love my rates to be low still, but sadly, those days are gone. If you did not fix, you didn't take advantage, that's unfortunate. Do I think rates will go back to these low levels? No. Do I hope they would? Possibly. But don't forget, why did they go there? We had a global pandemic. It wasn't because the banks said, hey, great time to lower interest rate. It's because we had a global catastrophe. You would not want to wish upon anybody another global catastrophe just to get our interest rates back down. So rates have got back to where they are.